Starting order for this faculty. Now we see that sliding into Sophia. Curva versi. Down to curva stesso. Prima curva della bici. Seconda. Terza curva della bici.
my goodness. Little bumpy.
400th of a second. That's less than the blink of an eye.
Welcome back to spectacular Cortina d'Ampezzo, high in the Dolomites. We're 1,000 metres above sea level on a cold, crisp and beautifully sunny Sunday morning. It's the opening race weekend of the IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Cup. We are on the 2026 Olympic track. 70 years on from holding the Games in 1956, in February, the Winter Olympics return to Cortina. Let's take a look at this track. From the start block, you go over the brow pretty quickly. It's a relatively short start though, not particularly steep, down into the bottleneck and into the first of our corners, Strias, named after the witches that inhabit the mountains. Through Verzi and into Cento. Verzi-Cento, a really tough transition. See lots of mistakes there. And high exit out of Labyrinthy 1 will give you a really big problem in terms of keeping speed alive. Second and third part of the labyrinth laid you into the first combination, Belvedere Bandion, named after two of the famous corners on the old track. Through K2, down the straight, Rettifilo Antelau into Antelau and Cristallo. Again, they link together. Cristallo, two pressures and a little bit through the chicane, down into Tofana, and then into the next left-hander at Ampezzo, climbing now all the way through Ampezzo, up through Arrivo, and still climbing steeply to the finish line back there. The last three elements of the track are really quite steep uphill and will just absorb speed as soon as they look at you. Well, there's the view around this gorgeous facility. It is built right in the middle of the town. The town is all around us and above us, ski lifts beside. It's a fabulous location. Now, after the first of two heats in our Women's Bobsleigh World Cup, Kaylee Humphries and Sylvia Hoffman, who returns to braking for this Olympic season, lie in third place. And they are just 300s ahead of teammates Keisha Love and Azaria Hill, who are fourth. And they are just 400s behind Kim Kilicki and Leonie Fiebig. And the German duo lie in second place after the first heat. Kilicki struggling with pneumonia and looking absolutely wretched out of the sled, but boy, she still drove superbly. Not as superbly, however, as the birthday girl, Lara Nolte, with Deborah Levy, her Olympic brakewoman, the Olympic and world champion, is in sparkling form. She is our race leader, and not by a few hundreds either. She leads by half a second, 47 hundredths. Well, Lara Nolte won yesterday's monobob race from Keisha Love and Brianna Walker. Keisha Love in fourth place, Brie not having a good first heat. It's Katie Bile in fifth, Alana Myers-Taylor in sixth. And look at these close gaps. Let's take Lara Nolte out of the equation. From 47 all the way down to 76, under 0.2 of a second, covering second to ninth. And 10th is only a whisker behind, 11th a whisker behind. So many tight little margins. And the problem with this track is that nobody really knows it. They've got a bit of a feel for it, but every day it's changed. The weather has changed. Very cold overnight. Ice harder and faster than at any stage. And so it is difficult to adapt. The relative lack of knowledge. Where Lara Nolte found that first run, do not know. Air temperature where it's warmed up. In the sunshine, it feels moderately warm. In the shadows, you feel every one of those -3 degrees. And the ice temperature -6.5. It's the coldest the ice has been this weekend, all of the last 2 weeks. Well, there you can see everybody warming up, either in the sunshine or in the downstairs start. Below the start area, there's a big warming up room. Mel Hasler. There's the Canadians. Kristen Bujnowski of Canada making her debut and had a really good run. And again, so much of bobsledding has to be done in the roads outside. Männer-Skeleton. Okay, I want to know what's on her playlist. Was that Agadoo going on? Top 20 from our first heat go into heat 2, and Kelly van Petegem will be first off with Jenny Declare, her brakewoman, and we go last to fast. And so the final sled on ice, defending that lead, will be Lara Nolte and Deborah Levy. Nolte looking for her second win of the weekend and her first of the season, and that would not be a bad way to celebrate your 27th birthday. Ready to get the race underway. Team Belgium, Kelly van Petegem, Jenny Declare. Started 19th fastest, and a couple of little early errors and a couple down the run as well, making it difficult to improve on that. But they do get a second heat. So let's see what they can produce for us. Kelly, 25, as is her brakewoman.
Okay.
10th World Cup start as a driver for Kelly van Petegem. 4th for Jenny Declare on the back. 5:32 in the first heat, 5:35 in the second. And these swooping first corners, little tap on the exit of Verzi into Cento. These are really the tricky ones for keeping your speed alive. You see her there falling off Primo Labyrinthi. That skid afterwards, also taking speed out of the sled. So down through Belvedere Bandion, Largo K2, or Lino K2 rather, and then into Antelau and Cristallo. Through the chicane, and down, dropping into Tofana. Nice looking run from the Belgians, Ampezzo. And then climbing still through Arrivo and across the line, 58.44. Slight improvement on their first heat with 58.48. It's a little tidier at the top, and that helps keep the speed alive. Well, thank you for joining us wherever you are across the world, whatever time of day or night, ungodly hour of the morning it might be. Hopefully you're being entertained by the action here in Cortina. The teams and the drivers are absolutely loving it. It's a really fun track to drive by all accounts, and rewarding when you get it right. It just feels super smooth. But rewarding and frustrating in equal measure. Isn't that what sport is all about? So wherever you are around the world, hopefully you'll be back watching in February when the games are here. Luge, then skeleton, then bobsleigh. Who of our athletes here will have a big week? What about Romania's Georgeta Popescu and Teodora Vlad? Georgeta, Youth Olympic champion in Monobob in 2020. 5:44 getaway. Teodora Vlad, very experienced Romanian brakewoman. Dozens of races on her card. And just 100th back. They were 1300s ahead of the Belgians after the first heat. They've started 900 slower, but now she's bringing it back. Just creeping into the lead. Slightly better speed. Not too bad out of K2, little tap, but that should send her nicely into Antelau and Cristallo. Extra Cristallo, a little hard to judge to get the run straight down into Tofana. That's not bad at all. She's got a slender advantage. 1300s up from the first heat, and across the line, 1900s up. So just 600ths of a second quicker than Kelly van Petegem on that heat. But that extends her advantage, so she will be no worse than 19th place. And Teodora starting 23rd, not guaranteed a second heat, but she drove herself into contention. Again here, this shot going into Primo Labyrinthi. Watch the front runners right on the salt on the rim of the glass there, right on the very edge of the ice, just avoiding rattling along the woodwork, which is not only going to cause a lot of drag, but not going to be very pretty on the runners either. So there you go, Teodora on the right, and on the left, her driver, Georgetta. Now next up, Adele Nicholl and Ashley Nelson from Great Britain. Ash, a Commonwealth champion, 4x100 metre runner, world and European medalist as well. And Adele, a multiple Welsh-British shot put record holder. And Adele really struggling with a knee injury over the last few weeks. Knee being the worst of what's going on. Well, they still managed to dig in for a 20th best start, a 5:33. And Adele drove well from that. Some nice looking lines on the way down the mountain. Let's see what she's got for us this time. 5:33, they matched that start. They're the first team to match their first getaway. Smoothly out of Verzi, doesn't make the tap there. Through Cento. Nice off Primo Labyrinthi. This is a very good looking run already. And those four corners, as we will see throughout the competition, are vital for speed. 2600s up. They were 100th ahead of the Romanians from the first heat. Nice lines, 3/10 up. Really smooth. Little bit of speed going away. Maybe having to just fight the sled a bit too much. But out of Arrivo, she's going to be comfortably in the lead across the line. 2800s, 58.34 in the first heat, 58.11 in the second. A quarter of a second improvement from Adele Nicholl. Excellent stuff. So Adele with Ash behind her, matching their first start, and Adele driving better in the second run than she did in the first as well. She'll be pleased with that. There's Ashley Nelson burying herself in the back of the sled. Adele getting right up to the wall there, just maybe even a little tap, a little too far over to the driver's left. But she didn't stress, didn't panic. Got a really good run through Strias, Verzi and Cento. And here off K2, no adjustment of the line. And that's the sign that she got onto the corner exactly where she wanted. Nice work, Adele Nicholl. Now, she was only a 10th behind Australia's Bree Walker. Bree unexpectedly low down the order, I think, here with Chiara Rodingius. She finished in the medals, bronze yesterday in the Monobob. Final moment of focus. Big hit off the start. They started 5:26, 12th best start. Even 100th better will help. 5:30, so they don't quite match the start. Smooth out to Strias and into Verzi, avoids the tap, same as Adele Nicholl. And then through Cento. Into Primo Labyrinthi, right up by the woodwork, comes off square. Secondi. And out of the labyrinth, down into Belvedere and Largo Bandion. Oh, K2. She was kind of high there. 200s back, only third best speed. Out of Antelau through Cristallo, needs a straight chicane. Gets it, 600s in it. Has she got the speed to overhaul Adele Nicholl at the line? It's uphill all the way. If you don't have speed on board, you're not going to make it. 700s back. 58.28, so the Brits stay in the leader's box. Smile from Pierre Luders. He knows what the old track was like here. A fearsome place. Not for the faint-hearted. Well, shake of the head from Bree Walker. Very high there in Primo Labyrinthi. Came down square, which was good. And it already started to rub a bit of speed out of the sled. And here, kind of thought she was a bit high, bit early in K2. We've seen rolls off there. Well, she kind of believed. But took the tap and then a long skid down Rettifilio Antelau and a couple more taps. So Adele offers her congratulations. Kaya proceed there with the coats for her teammates. So Wai Mingming of China now with Wang Chuan behind her. Wai missing an entire season pretty much. Her last World Cup before today was in Samoritz in January 2024. So she's finding herself back to fitness and especially blowing off those race rusty cobwebs. She was the last starter in the field of 26. Didn't make the cut yesterday in the monobob race, did today, clearly, as she's here. 5:31 getaway, so she adds a couple of hundreds to her 1400s advantage over Del Nickel from the first heat. Nice exit out of Primo Labyrinthi. Nice and smooth off the corner and keeping that speed alive, building the advantage. Best speed so far. 95 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour. 2400s up. Just creeping away from the British duo. Wai always had good hands on the D-rings, and she's showing that as well. Not quite got the top speed. That's Del Nickel at this stage. Georgeta Popescu was fastest of all at the bottom, but she has the lead, 57.94. So goodbye to Ash Nelson and Del Nickel, and welcome to the leaderbox, Wai Mingming and Wang Chuan. Now, Wai really clattered her ankle getting into the sled on the first start and caught her knees on the second start. And again, you know, and in training and everything, they're still loading, they're still doing the same stuff, but in the race, you're doing it with extra impetus, with even more vigor in the push. Now, you're going to have to translate that for yourself. I have no idea what was going on with the girls, but they are very happy. Wai Mingming and Wang Chuan leading after the first 5 sleds. Six of our starters in this second Women's Bobsleigh World Cup heat of the season. Cynthia Appiah and Eden Wilson. Started 5:28, 5:27 in the second heat. And the bright sunshine around this Cortina d'Ampezzo track may be great for the spectators and the fans watching on the big screen down at Cortina 360. But you're not feeling it in the track with the roof over every centimetre of it. Still cold, hard, fast ice. 1700s up on Wai at the start. Down to 1400s. This is a tidier run from Cynthia Appiah than in her first heat, but the gap's down to 1/10 of a second. She's got better speed than the Chinese athletes did. That should be enough. Out of Tofana and Ampezzo and across the line, 57.94, exactly the same time that we just saw from Wai Mingming. And so she keeps her advantage alive. 1300s in front from the first heat, 1300s in front it is. So good cohesion from the start, trying to get both athletes putting the power into the sled at the same moment. So you've got all of the energy, breaking that inertia. And good line here again, exit K2, watch the runner tips. Just a slight correction as she saw that she was going to hit wall. They're sort of smoothing off that tap.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Wow. Not a bad run from Cynthia Appiah. They move into the leaders box, and next up the first of our Swiss sleds, Deborah Annan and Mara Morel. Now, ostensibly the Swiss number 2. Deborah is in 3rd of the Swiss sleds. She got the, I'm not going to say veteran, but experienced Mara Morel behind her. Mara in her 15th World Cup start. 2 bronze medals in her career. The brake woman Deborah Annan, just her 5th two-man World Cup start. She'll be looking forward to final race of the season back in Altenburg, her favourite track of all. 5:29, that's an improvement on their 5:31 first start. Can she keep the speed alive? Nice out of Verzi. Everybody's got a handle on it now in the second heat. They've got a feel for what the steering needs. Not too bad out of Primo Labyrinthi either. Good run so far. Deborah Annan has got good hands, drives the sled very nicely. Swiss are working between their current Swiss sleds, or their current sleds, which are the Latvian BTCs, and that's what Deborah Annan is driving. There's a new Swiss-built sled, which they had tested in the two-man, but it looks as though Melly Hasler was in a BTC, and Mickey Vogt was yesterday as well. 57.99 at the line, so just a whisker slower than the last two sleds, but they survive on their first heat advantage. 900s up in the first heat, 400s of that lead remained intact. So Deborah Annan will be no worse than 14th. Cynthia Appiah no worse than 15th. She will have hoped for a little more, but realistically for everybody, coaches, athletes, drivers, this week is not necessarily about points and medals. It is about knowledge, because you all hope that you'll be coming back in February for the games, and runs down this track will be worth their weight in gold at that stage. Big looping height there, and again, just a fraction late, Deborah. Good looking run, but still lots to tidy up. That's what video is for. So we have a Swiss leader, and now we have the second of our Chinese teams, Ying Qing and Wang Yu. And Ying has been racing over the last 5 seasons, now her 31st World Cup start since she made her debut in Altenburg. And Wang Yu in her 9th. 2 World Championships under the belt of Wang Yu as a great woman as well, in St. Moritz 2023 and Lake Placid 2025. They drop in, nice straight run down into Striers. And then right through Verzi, avoid the tap. Nice. Through Cento, slightly longer left-hand corner. And then into Primo Labyrinthi. And again, everybody's got a feel for what the steering is like. On the first heat, those first 3 or 4 corners are where you find out how much response you've got from the D-rings. And by that stage, it's too late. Nice run down the Rettifilo into Antelau and Cristallo. 4th best speed. She's a whisker behind Deborah Annan, and at the moment, just vying with Cynthia Appiah of Canada for 2nd place. Has she got enough to overhaul the Swiss at the line? Out of Arrivo, not quite, and she just drops behind Cynthia Appiah as well. So not a bad run at all, but we are talking tiny margins here. So 5:33, they dropped a couple of hundreds at the start, and Bobsleigh math says 200 slower at the start means 600 slower at the bottom. And in fact, that kind of worked out, a 57.94 to a 58.08. They were 1,400 slower on the run, and there again you can see some of why. Having to drag the sled off K2. Again, little tappy, skiddy Rettifilo. And here, out of Tofana and Ampezzo, just riding the berm up into Arrivo. All right. So Deborah Annan still leads for Switzerland. Cynthia Appiah 2nd. Ying Qing and Wai Mingming 3rd and 4th as we get to France with Margot Bock and Carla Seneschal. These two started their bobsleigh journey together and continue to be the most familiar pairing in the Swiss sled. 22nd World Cup start in women's bob for Margot, and for Carla it's her 16th. 5:34 getaway. Remember Carla saying a couple of years ago that She always seems sort of destined for bobsleigh. Like in 2023, somebody showed her a tweet from 2014 in the Olympics where she tweeted about saying, I think I'll probably end up doing bobsleigh. And so she did. Mind you, at that stage, she was very much younger than the required age for bobsleigh. Fourth best at the moment. 5:34 start. The seventh best start of the field so far. Oh, and a long skid down into Tofana. She's going to be ahead of the Chinese sleds. Is she going to get ahead of Cynthia Appiah? No, again tied, in fact, with Yingqing. So she loses a couple of spots. But another 100th further back, she'd lost a further. So 58.09 downtime compared to 57.93. Now what we've seen over competition for the last couple of days is the track does hold its speed all the way through the day, which is something very much in the plus box for this facility, is that it does not degrade and slow down. It's seemingly no matter how many sleds go down it. And there's Margot, a little disappointed to lose ground. Next up is our Canadian rookie, Kristen Bujnovsky. Kristen, a former brakewoman, lots of experience in the back handles. And Dawn Richardson-Wilson the same. Dawn's last race in a bobsleigh was the 2022 Winter Olympic Games. So she's been away, she's been back to summer sport, and she is back in harness. 5:22, seventh fastest start in the competition. 5:21, she goes better again. That's what happens when you put one of Canada's best ever brake women into the front seat. You get superlative starting, and Bouge can drive a sled as well. 2/10 up on Deborah Adden. Nice smooth lines. Tough for a young pilot to come to this track where they've got zero experience at any level and just learn, repeat, repeat, repeat. Of course, it's what you do in the early stages of your career. Rather than polishing your knowledge, you're always trying to absorb so much. Second best speed. Gaps come down from 2/10 to 1/10. A little rattle there as she came out of Tofana. Has she got enough to hold the lead at the line? Yes, she does. Linda Rush on the left, Justin Cripps on the right. Happy with that, and Boo should be as well.
Good job!
Yep. You see, this is what all the brakemen tell me. Not only is it a smooth track, but when the driver has a good run, it is super smooth. Greg Hackett yesterday in the mono race was saying it almost feels like the track was designed by brakemen for brakemen. Probably wasn't. It was designed by a track designer, but they have come up with a superb facility. Challenging, but not physically brutal. So new leaders from Canada, Bouge and Dawn Richardson-Wilson. That's a pretty impressive debut for the World Cup driver. Kristen Bujnovsky leads with 10 to go. Well, three things everybody always knew about coming to Cortina. It was going to be tough physically and mentally to race on the track. The views would be spectacular. The warm welcome, and of course, you have to try really, really hard to get a bad meal and a bad cup of coffee in Italy, and it's pretty much impossible here. So it's, again, a wonderful place to return to. In the woods, just behind the start, is the track up to the old start, the 1956 start. In the cap there, Diego Minardi with the goatee beard. Really the driving force, one of two men who kept the flame alive here for Bob Club Cortina and kept the drive to get the track, or get a new track built At one stage, actually, they were going to use the 56 start and build a short track, maybe 7 or 8 corners just for testing. But all of their dreams have come to life here. And what a proud moment for everybody involved in the construction of this track, design of this track, operation of this track. Oh, little bit of an issue with the helmet for Salome Cora. She can't get the helmet done up. Driver Enola Blatti is at the block. There we go. Not used to helmets. She is a 4x100 sprinter, Salome, and finished 4th in the Paris Olympics for Switzerland in the 4x100. 3rd fastest 100-meter runner. Well, there you can see Dawn Richardson-Wilson on the left and Kristen Buczynowski on the right. Dawn with probably the longest name in the women's bobsleigh field, and Buj with the shortest. Sled in the ice for Switzerland's Enola Blatti and Salome Cora, 2 debutantes. First off, with a brand new start record, 5:24. It has since been beaten, but Enola Blatti made a debut in the mono yesterday, 2nd in Eurocup last year in women's bobsleigh. 5:22 getaway. Her brakewoman making her first ever bobsleigh starts. Had not raced in a sled officially before today. A 4x100-meter sprinter. And they show their speed. Little late exit out of Primo Labyrinthi. And that's going to take something out of the sled. Now, they had a slender advantage over Kristen Buczynowski and Dawn Richardson-Wilson, our current leaders, of just 900ths of a second. They had a whisker more at the start. The Canadians, and the gap has come down and is now reversed. So Canada have the lead, but Enola Blatti, what a debut weekend this has been for her and for her brakewoman Salome Cora. Top 10 in the first heat. They may yet finish in the top 10. Not everybody is perfect. 58.17. But again, a top 10 finish for Kristen Buczynowski on her World Cup driving debut. That is excellent work from the Canadian. Really liking these Swiss athletes as well. Enola drove fantastically well yesterday in the monobob, even better in the 2-seat sled. Little high, little late there, didn't quite have the experience to correct the line on the second run. A little skid through the chicane down into Tofana as well. And those 2 little moments, either of those, would have been enough to drop her behind the Canadians. Well, she shakes her head. She's a competitor, not just here to make up the numbers. Lyndon Rush at the front of the Canadian sled, of the top Canadian slider in the first heat, Melissa Lottholt. She's got Skylar Sieben behind her, who joined the team last year, another summer track and field athlete. So these duo started 5:29. And they'll be looking to try and find a little bit more at the start as well. Melissa, another experienced brakewoman turned driver. 5:27, so they do find a couple of hundreds more at the start. Nice, out of Verzi and into Cento smoothly. Does she get the labyrinth? Oh no, a little late out of Primo Labyrinthi, the skid and the double tap. That'll take a bit of speed out of the sled. Gap down to 400ths of a second. She was 1300ths ahead of Kristen Buczynowski after the first heat. Starting to build a little bit more advantage. 7th their speed though. Buczynowski not the fastest sled. That was clean enough for Melissa Lottholt. Still hanging on, just 700ths in it. Is that enough to take the lead at the line? We might be down to a couple of hundreds. No, she pulls away, 57.97. Exactly the same run time as her teammate. So 1300ths ahead after the first heat. The lead remains 1300ths. So fun fact about Melissa Lottholz, plays the piano beautifully. Doesn't drive a sled too bad either. Just a little high, just a fraction late with the steer there into Primo Labyrinthi. You hit the woodwork, the sled comes off. How it comes off, it's kind of out of your hands at that stage. K2, watch the runners. Yeah, she knew where she was going at that stage. So Mel leads. There's Skylar. Can't get my helmet off. Yeah, can't get my helmet on, can't get my helmet off. Gloves don't help, do they? So our final Swiss sled of the heat is Melanie Hasler with Nadia Pasternak. Mel led the first heat of the mono race, slipped back down to 7th place with a bit of an untidy second run. Nadia returning to competition this season. Last December, she gave birth to her baby daughter, Noalie. And she and her partner, Roman Heinrich, are sharing the childcare duties as well as trying to slide. 5:20, good start. They were 5:19 in the first heat, but that's top 5 starting. So Nadia working really hard over the last 12 months, not just looking after a newborn baby, but trying to get herself back to race fitness, and she really has. Nice smooth lines from Mel in the first heat, and this is looking like she's very much at home on this track, building her advantage from 800s at the start to 2/10 over Melissa Lottholz. Not bad out of K2 either, 2300s up. Extending her advantage, looking to move up the order from 8th place in the first heat. Top speed at the bottom for the Swiss sled. And she is in the BTC. Across the line, out of a Revo. Big run, 57.75. Just 200 slower than her first heat. Yes. 2 good runs together. That's what it's all about. It's not about one brilliant one. It's about having 2 really good runs, because the next time you're going to need 4. Accuracy and consistency are key. She was high in Primo Labyrinthi. And had she not made that tiny little error, she might have been the better part of another 10th ahead. That was a good run, though. And she loved it. 2 long weeks here, 3 runs a day is high pressure for the drivers, for the mechanics, for the bodies of the drivers and the athletes as well. Now, next up, Lisa Buchwitz with Nayla Skuten. Saw Nayla jigging away in warm-up, have no idea what she was listening to. And this pair, 7th place after the first heat. Let's see what they can produce at the start. It was a 5:12 in the first heat, 5:12 in the second. They tie their start record. Brilliant starting from Lisa Buchwitz and Nayla Skuten. They're positioning themselves again as the benchmarks, but a big wallop on the woodwork in Primo Labyrinthi. That big skiddy, double tappy run down into the second part of Labyrinth, not helping. The speed on the left has gone from the sled. Oh, and again, risky in K2. Timing not right here for Lisa Buchwitz. She had a good run through to 5th place in the mono. This is very untidy. 300s up. Is she going to be ahead of Melly Hasler at the line? Not sure she's got the speed. She's not got the speed. Oh, where did she find that? Where did she find that? Well, the German FES sleds are good aerodynamically, but the Germans' runners seem to be able to shrug off driving errors and still produce speed. Big mistake in Primo Labyrinthi and skidding all the way down into the second. And look at this, hauling it off K2. backsides off the base of the sled at that stage. They were airborne. And again, down at the bottom, skidding down into Tofana. Anybody else, they'd be buried. I don't know how they found those 200s, but they did. 6 to go as we get to our first US sled. This is Alana Myers-Taylor with Jasmine Jones. Alana raced on this track when she was a young brakewoman back in 2000, early 2000s. Fourth best start of the competition for this duo, 5:19. I mean, that's massive for Jasmine Jones. Because Alana, powerful though she is not as young as her rivals. Let's see what they got. 5:19 first heat, 5:21 again. An exceptional start from this duo. Double tap out of Verzi. That's going to take a little speed out of the sled. They were only 200s ahead of Lisa Buchwitz and Nela Skoten from the first heat, and they started 900 slower. So the gap will be out. Well, it's not. She's brought it right back. It was out to 1600. She's brought it right back. She's level now. Great driving from Alana Myers-Taylor. These M-Tech sleds that the USA athletes are using are absolute flying machines. Brilliant work from Alana Myers-Taylor. 800s up. Third best speed. Quicker than Buchwitz was at this stage. If she can be clean, Antavantalau, Cristallo, and across the line, and she is. 1600s up, 57.65. Now, how's this for consistency? 57.66 in the first heat, 57.65 in the second. Top 6 finish for Alana Myers-Taylor and Jasmine Jones. And it will be a top 5 start as well. Brilliant work from the American driver. Lovely, lovely work. Look at the runner tips. Absolutely where she wanted the sled to be. She'll take the tiny brush with the wall and down the straight. Ideal. Excellent work from Alana Myers-Taylor. Another mum on tour. So, 5th after the first heat, a 10th in hand over Alana Myers-Taylor. Kathi Beil of Austria with Nicola Pichler behind her. So Nicola, 29 years of age, her 6th World Cup start. Kathi Beil's 58th in the front seat of a bobsleigh. And that's just the 2-seat sled. Never mind all the runs in mono as well. 5:22, so just 100 slower than the Americans. They matched their first start. That's what you want. Consistency is everything here. Nice run out of Verzi through Cento. Gets a decent exit off Primo Labyrinthi. That's how you build the speed. 900s ahead of Alana at the start. Out to 14, out to 1500s. Again, really nice looking run. Gets a little straight tap down to Antalau. Second best speed from Kathi Beil. Another BTC sled. Probably breathed on a little by Austria's Wolfgang Stampfer. 1600, she's holding that advantage. She'll be in the top 5, the leader at the line. Kathi Beil of Austria. 1200s up, 57.63. There's Stampfer on the right, Benny Meyer on the left. And Kathi Beil, after a disappointing day yesterday in the mono, she only finished 12th, but she does love the 2-seat bob. We go to her home track, of course, next week, Innsbruck in Austria. She was there on Sunday, testing the modifications to the new parts of the track. Just took a little more of a tap there out of K2 than Alana Myers-Taylor, but she had speed. And again, little tap squares her up nicely into Tofana. Good run from Kathi Beil. Top 5 to start the season. Excellent stuff. 4 to go. And we still have 2 American sleds in the hunt for medals. The first of which is Keisha Love with Azaria Hill behind her. And she is just 300ths out of the medals after the first heat. Started third fastest, 5:13. Let's see what they can produce, 5:15 rather, what they can produce this time. Again, even 100th of an improvement is going to help all the way down the run. In gently from Keisha. 5:14, they do find 100th more. So their lead was just 400ths over the Austrians. Sneaks through Verzi without a touch. Out of Cento nicely. Little bit of a heavy landing off Primo Labyrinthi. But she's still building her advantage over Katy Bile. Nice lines again. So impressed with the way that Keisha Love has gone from being a top break woman to a top class driver. It's not always speedy progress, but she's really made it. 1400s up still, holding her advantage. Still 1400s up over Katy Bile. And this should be a challenge for the medals from Keisha Love. Across the line, 1900s up, 57.48. Yeah, woo, says Brian Scheimer, rightly so. That was a good run from Keisha Love. And a really good start from Keisha and Azaria Hill in the back seat. Gabbling at each other with excitement.
You're gonna watch.
Silver medalist yesterday in the Monobob, behind race winner Lara Nolte. Does she get herself into the medals here? Well, she certainly gave it everything. Just a little untidy exit out of Primo Labyrinthi. The rest of it looked really nice. A modicum late maybe out of Ampezzo. And having to just bobble the sled around into a Revo. Are those the mistakes that will deny her a medal? Not everybody else is going to be clean. Now, in the top 3 after the first heat, her teammates, Kaylee Humphries and Sylvia Hoffman. Sylvia, like Keisha, driving bobsleds as well, and is now trying to retune her body to be a brake woman once more. It's not just do the same thing but slightly different. In and down, 5:25 first heat, 5:20 second heat. They find something and they might need it in the battle for the medals. Kaylee only 400ths from silver, but first she's got to fight off Keisha Love. Gaps out to 600s. Nice exit out of Primo Labyrinthi, and that should bring it back to level pegging. She's got more speed now. Fastest sled, not quite level with Keisha. Out of Lino K2, little tap down into Antelau. Through Cristallo, she moves into the lead. Needs to be very clean down here. Dead level. Not much in it. The little tap has taken some speed out of the sled. She's got to be really good uphill to overhaul Keisha Love, and she does not do it. Love is in the medals. Kaylee will have to wait for another sled or 2 to see whether she'll get a medal out of the track today. Finished in 4th in the mono. They did have a better start, 500s better. Lots of questions with Shauna Roebuck. Tuffy at the back talking to Sylvia Hoffman. Sylvia will be pleased with that. A 5:25 first start, good. A 5:20 second start, very good. And Kaylee, she'll be questioning where did that time go at the bottom. The tap here, not really damaging that much. All right, Keisha Love leads. Kaylee Humphries second. Katy Bile third, 2 to go. Kim Kalicki and Leonie Fiebig, silver medal position after the first heat, just 700ths ahead of our current leader, Keisha Love. And Kalicki struggling with pneumonia for the last few weeks. Should be in a hospital bed should be on antibiotics, can't be, has to compete. So Leonie from Cologne, her #1 choice of brake woman, needs to get it on, struggling to get in. Kalicki gets it in safely, 5:21. But a skid out of Verzi, she avoids the hit, but it is time sapping. Oh, and she gets into the woodwork. Scruffy exit of Primo Labyrinthi. She's going behind, 700s back, 1700s back. Now, we already saw with Lisa Buchwitz that mistakes that cost others time don't seem to cost the German sleds as much. Something in their aero, something in the way they cut their runners, the way they use their runners. But she is in free fall now. She's out of the medals. Kim Kalicki not able to keep it together in the second heat. Third at the line, just sneaks ahead of Catty Bile. 57.45 first heat, 57.71 second heat. And this is the other face of this track. If you make mistakes early on, it's going to be really tough to recover from, and we're going to see that a lot in the Olympics. Struggles to get in, feet just catching on the seat back. Luckily, she was in relatively early, but again here, into Labyrinthi, boom, that big hit on the rear bunk. Throws her off sideways and squirrely down the straight. So Keisha Love leads, Kaylee Humphries second, Kim Kalicki third, 1 to go. Happy birthday to Lara Nolte. 27 today, yesterday's Monobob race winner. Our Olympic champion with Deborah Levy, our world champion with Deborah Levy, and our World Cup champion last year. 3 wins in the bag with Deborah before the Worlds. The Golden Girls are back together, but can they take the win? 4,700s ahead of Kim Kalicki from the start, 5,400s ahead of our current leader, Keisha Love. It is hers to throw away, and Lara Nolte is not in the habit of throwing away races. Nice exit out of Primo Labyrinthi. Her first run, it looked like she was on a German track, to be honest. Looked like there was no drama at all, and it was much the same in the mono yesterday. Something about this track really gels with Lara Nolte. 5,600s up. She's rebuilding the advantage. She's going to race away to one of the biggest winning margins we've seen in women's bobsleigh in a long while. Lara Nolte, it's a double gold medal weekend. On her birthday, she takes the first win of the bobsleigh season. 57.25. 2,700 slower than her first heat, but it doesn't matter. She knew she just had to be clean. What a pair of runs from the birthday girl. And her talisman in the backseat, Deborah Levy. Well, she can have some cake later because she certainly earned it. Nice. A birthday cake from Stefan Kraus. Well done, congratulations. A little bit of cheesecake. Could have been a birthday tiramisu, but anything will do in these. Thomas Schwab, yeah, congratulations to Lara Nolte and Deborah Levy as they take victory here in the first women's race of the season. And Kaylee Humphries in third position. That is her first podium since January 2023 in women's bobsleigh. So Lara Nolte, Deborah Levy, definitely in party mood here in Cortina. It's only one, not plurals. So Deborah Levy winning by 3/4 of a second. Keisha Love in second, 200s ahead of Kaylee Humphries. Kim Kalicki slipping out of the medals to fourth ahead of Katie Bile, and Alana Myers-Taylor making it 3 US sleds in the top 6, with Lisa Bukwitz in seventh ahead of Mel Hasler, Melissa Lottholtz and Kristen Buznowski. Buznowski and Blatty making great World Cup debuts, 10th and 11th, and Blatty ahead of Deborah Annan with Cynthia Pia, Margot Bock and the rest following on behind in the top 20. Well, again, fantastic, entertaining racing from this Cortina track. I think we have got a track for the ages here. It's going to be a really, really interesting Olympic Games. And I think in the future, this track will be one that lots of athletes and coaches will be looking forward to come back to learn more about and to enjoy even more. It is a real challenge for the drivers, for the athletes, and for the kit. And it's just a feast for the eyes as well. So our World Cup leader is our World Cup champion, Lara Nolte, with Keisha Love and Kaylee Humphries finishing here on the podium in second and third in the points. Lara Nolte with 2 wins here. Keisha Love with 2 silver medals. Kaylee Humphries with her first women's bobsleigh medal since January 2023. And a return to the medals as well for Sylvia Hoffman, my broadcast partner yesterday for the Monobob race there on the right-hand side. So well done to them. And our race winners already getting into the cheesecake. And that is it for women's bobsleigh this weekend. But the 4-man competition, the Königsklasse, the blue ribbon event, comes up this afternoon. 13:30 local, 12:30 GMT, 07:30. And I'm delighted to say that I will be joined by the legendary John Morgan. Do not miss it. 1:30 local, 12:30 GMT. Bye for now.